Good morning, friends. Chris here with another episode of Food FAQs. I know it's been a while, but this is going to be a nice, short, sweet little episode here. You're going to love it. And speaking about sweet, this is what we're doing here today. We're going to be freezing strawberries. I had a user email me, ask me, Chris, what's the best way to freeze summer berries, like strawberries and stuff like that, if I want to use it all winter long. So in today's episode of Food FAQs, we're going to talk about how to prepare and freeze strawberries. The very first thing we've got to do is to wash these strawberries, and you can certainly put it in a drainer and put cool water to run all over it and to give them a good rinse, but I much prefer putting it in a bowl of water and just moving them around a little bit. What that does, and make sure it's sitting pretty high off the water in the bowl, because what's going to happen as you move it along, any sort of dirt, debris or anything, it's going to fall to the bottom of the bowl here, and it's going to settle on the bottom. This way you're going to have nice, clean, fresh strawberries just floating on the top here. If you had them in a container, like a wire container, and they were sitting against each other, what would happen is as soon as they rinse, some of the dirt may be caught up between them. So best bet, put them in a bowl here and you're good to go. After that, what we're going to do is the sort of leafy stem on the top, we're just going to trim that off like this. And you can certainly put it down on a chopping board if it's easier for you, and just go ahead with your paring knife and cut it. After we've trimmed all of these, what we're going to do is, all we're going to do next is spread a couple paper towels onto a cookie sheet, or in my case here, I'm just using my cutting board, and I've gone ahead and I've trimmed all the stems, the leaves off the strawberry. So all we're going to do now is just put them onto this paper towel here, just so they dry. And the reason why we want them to dry, and make sure they dry all the way around, so give it a couple of hours to air dry. We want all that water to dry out, because if we put these in the freezer with any sort of water around it, that's when ice is going to form and you're going to get ice crystals surrounding your strawberries, and you really don't want that. So with all my strawberries now on the paper here, I'm going to let that air dry for a couple hours, but I'm hoping you're able to see this. The water here, notice how cloudy it became, and down at the bottom you can really see a little bit of dirt and sand and stuff like that, and this is why I much prefer washing them in a bowl of water like that. Now that my berries are all dried, what the next step is this, and you're going to get a plate, and all you're going to do is put these berries individually on the plate. And the reason why we're going to put it on the plate as it is here is because we want these berries to freeze individually. If I were to put them in my Ziploc bag at this point and stick it in the freezer, what would happen is they may touch, and they may have the chance of sticking together, so you won't have individual frozen berries. You may have a big old clump. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this in the freezer and let that freeze for until it's hard. It took just over an hour, maybe about an hour and a half. These are all frozen now individually. So what I have here now is my freezer bag, and all I'm going to do is to pour them into the freezer bag. And again, remember, the reason why we froze them individually is so that they don't stick together once we have them in the freezer. So it's in the bag now. I'm just going to seal it up, try and get as much of that air out of it as I can. And there you go, guys. It's a wicked way to store strawberries in the freezer for the winter. I'm just going to stick this back into the freezer, and it's good for about a year or so. Entire winter, at least, you'll have fresh strawberries. Chris here, Food FAQ, guys. Give this one a try. Strawberries are so lovely to have in shakes and as compote, and so many different ways you can use these frozen strawberries. And having good strawberries in the middle of winter is not a problem once you treat them correctly and freeze them right. Thanks for joining me in my kitchen here at Food FAQs, and look for a new video within the next few days.